From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I am Ahmed Ramadan. Iran launches major retaliation against Israel in Operation True Promise 3. Missiles strike Tel Aviv as explosions rock central Israel. This and more coming up in today's show. Senator Alex Padilla was handcuffed and dragged out of a press conference by security while trying to question Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in Los Angeles on Thursday. Padilla said he was not arrested or detained but was forced to the ground for asking about aggressive immigration enforcement. Footage showed security tackling him during Noem's live briefing. Padilla later said, if this is how they treat a senator, imagine what they do to day laborers. The Department of Homeland Security defended the action, claiming Padilla failed to identify himself or wear his Senate pin. They said agents mistook him for an attacker. Noem and Padilla met privately for 15 minutes afterward. The clash comes amid Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE raids in Los Angeles, which have triggered citywide protests. President Donald Trump has sent the National Guard and Marines to support the ongoing operations. Padilla vowed to hold the administration accountable. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faced tough questions in Congress on Thursday over a leaked Signal Group chat, allegedly revealing plans to strike Houthi targets in Yemen. At a House Armed Service Committee hearing, Democrat Representative Seth Moulton asked if Hegseth had shared classified information via the encrypted app. Moulton pressed him on whether the details were marked secret or top secret as per Pentagon rules. Hegseth denied revealing classified content, but confirmed that the strike was successful. The issue had been dubbed Signalgate. It erupted after editor of The Atlantic magazine, Jeffrey Goldberg, said he was accidentally added to a chat with senior officials discussing attack details just hours before the March 15 strike. Moulton accused Hegseth of posting classified information on an unsecured platform and demanded accountability. Hegseth insisted that no sensitive data like names, routes, or methods were shared, only that the Houthis were held accountable. Iran's retaliation to Israel's attacks on its nuclear and military facilities began Friday night, as the Israeli military said it identified missiles launched towards the country. The Iranian attack is ongoing. Dozens of additional missiles were launched towards Israel, the Israeli military said in a statement on X. According to another statement, all of Israel is under fire as Iranian fires projectiles. Press TV report that Tehran launched Operation True Promise 3 against Israel and that missiles made direct impact in Tel Aviv. Channel 12 reports that at least 17 Israelis were injured in an Iranian missile attacks. Loud explosions were heard throughout central Israel shortly after sirens were activated in the area, according to Israeli media. Tehran has also pulled out of nuclear talks with Washington that were scheduled for Sunday in Oman. Israel killed more than 78 people and injured hundreds in residential areas of Iran, according to local media. The airstrikes on early Friday targeted over 100 sites, including the capital Tehran, Natanz, and Tabriz. Israel hit nuclear facilities, ballistic missile centers, and senior military officials. Natanz, which is Iran's main uranium enrichment site, was heavily bombed, along with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, headquarters in Tehran. Israel reportedly killed top Iranian generals, including Hossein Salimi, Mohammad Bagheri, and Ghulam Ali Rashid, along with several nuclear scientists and their families. Natanz, which is Iran's main uranium enrichment site, was heavily bombed along with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, headquarters in Tehran. Israel reportedly killed top Iranian generals, including Hossein Salami, Mohammad Bagheri, and Ghulam Ali Rashid, along with several nuclear scientists and their families. Confirming the deaths, Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei vowed severe punishment. Iran retaliated with drone and missile attacks towards Israel, many of which were intercepted over Syria, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. UN nuclear watchdog IAEA confirmed the Natanz was struck but reported that there were no radiation leaks. The agency's chief warned that nuclear sites must be never attacked. In related news, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says operations targeting Iran's nuclear and military sites will continue as long as needed. Secretary of State Marco Rubio initially claimed that Israel acted unilaterally and that Washington was not part of the attack. He urged Tehran not to target American forces or retaliate against U.S. interests. But President Donald Trump later said, "We knew everything about the strike," contradicting Rubio's earlier denial and calling the attack excellent, even as he urged Iran to return to negotiations. Israel's defense minister has called the operation preemptive. Following the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, Israel declared a nationwide emergency and shut its airspace. Flights were rerouted abroad, with Iran also suspending all flights from Tehran's main airport. A new report by the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, has found that Republicans' new tax and spending bill could cost the poorest Americans up to $1,600 a year. The proposed law, which has been backed by House Speaker Mike Johnson and President Donald Trump, slashes federal spending on programs like Medicaid and food stamps. It would lead to the bottom 10% of households in the U.S. losing nearly 4% of their income annually. In contrast, the wealthiest 10% could see an annual gain of $12,000. Middle-income earners would only see about $500 to $1,000 more a year. The CBO says that although overall taxes would drop through 2034, under the plan, the benefits will not be evenly spread. Democrats and advocates say the GOP bill helps the rich while hurting the poor. Republicans claim the bill will strengthen the economy. Arab American voters in Michigan say they feel betrayed by Trump over Gaza and the travel ban. Details coming up next. Welcome back. A number of Arab Americans in Michigan who voted for President Donald Trump say they feel betrayed. Among Yemeni Americans in Dearborn, Trump's recent travel ban targeting 12 countries, including Yemen, has sparked outrage. Dearborn is home to the largest Arab majority population in the U.S., and many in the city supported Trump in last year's presidential election. Along with Trump's continuous support for Israel's genocide in Gaza, he has triggered deep disappointment. Local community leader Osama Sablani said Trump lied and bluffed Arab Americans into thinking he was a peacemaker. Experts say the growing frustration reflects wider dissatisfaction with both Republicans and Democrats, particularly after former President Joe Biden's constant support of Israel. Michigan is a key swing state, and experts say it could see major political shifts in the future, with both parties struggling to regain Arab and Muslim voter trust. Analysts note that with upcoming elections for governor and the Senate in 2026, Arab American votes could again decide who holds power at the state and federal level. The Turkish Red Crescent has distributed hot meals to displaced Palestinians in a makeshift camp in Gaza City. This amid Israel's ongoing and relentless genocide in the region. Hundreds of Palestinians, including women and children, formed long lines to receive food aid. Observers say this highlights the dire condition faced by civilians amid Israel's blockade on food, medicine, fuel, and essential supplies since March 2nd. There are shortages of food, clean water, and medical supplies in the camps for the displaced, worsening the suffering of thousands forced to flee their homes. Gaza's 2.4 million inhabitants face the risk of famine due to Israel's blockade. Israel killed at least 30 Palestinians and injured dozens more across Gaza on Friday. Strikes hit crowds waiting for food aid near Al-Rashid Road and Al-Shuhada Junction, killing at least 7 and wounding many. Israeli artillery and gunfire also targeted civilians in Al-Waha, Al-Sudaniya, and near Wadi Gaza Bridge. Israeli warplanes bombed residential areas in Gaza City, including Al-Zaytun, Shujaya, and Tufah, and Al-Daraj. Eastern Jabalia and its refugee camp also came under fire. In southern Gaza, Israeli shells hit near Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, raising fears of forced evacuations. 2 civilians were shot dead near a U.S.-based aid center in Rafah. Further Israeli airstrikes struck Deir al-Balah and Nusayrat refugee camp. Wafa news agency reports widespread attacks across Gaza, with casualties mounting as homes continue to be demolished. Anti-Muslim attacks in Germany's capital, Berlin, jumped nearly 70% last year, according to rights group Claim. A new report reveals 644 incidents of hate and discrimination, which is nearly 2 cases a day. Women made up 64% of the victims, often being harassed while with their children. Discrimination was most common in schools, housing, and workplaces, followed by verbal abuse. Claim co-director Rima Hanano warned that public debates and media often frame Muslims as threats, fueling hate. The spike in incidents followed escalations in the Middle East and past terrorist attacks. Hanano said, even children and youth are facing physical and verbal attacks on Berlin's streets. Germany, which is home to more than 5 million Muslims, has seen rising Islamophobia pushed by far-right groups like AfD. The report warns that the real number of anti-Muslim incidents may be much higher, as many cases go unreported. The UN says Sudan is now the world's biggest humanitarian crisis, with over 30 million people urgently needing help. UN Relief Chief Tom Fletcher warns of global indifference and impunity. Violence continues from Darfur to Kordofan with no mercy for civilians, and Sudan's health system has collapsed. The diseases like cholera and measles are spreading fast as aid appeals remain severely underfunded. Fletcher condemned attacks on hospitals and UN aid convoys, including one in North Darfur last week. The UN urges urgent action to avoid more tragedy in Sudan. Pakistan has asked the UK to play a bigger role in easing tensions with India and reviving the Indus Water Treaty. Former Foreign Minister and leader of Pakistan's People's Party, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, led a Pakistani delegation in London, where he met British officials and leaders of the Kashmiri diaspora. Bhutto warned the rising hostilities with India threaten regional peace and water security for over 240 million Pakistanis. He accused India of aggression and illegally suspending the 1960 water-sharing deal last month. This came amid heightened tensions between the two countries, which led to a military standoff. Bhutto also said Kashmir remains an unhealed wound of partition and urged support for UN-backed self-determination. The visit is part of Pakistan's global diplomatic campaign after last month's standoff with India. India had launched a counter-campaign led by former UN diplomat and now opposition Congress leader Shashi Tharoor. Taipei has won the Muslim woman-friendly city destination of the year at the 2025 Halal in Travel Awards in Singapore. The recognition came from halal travel research organization Crescent Rating. Taipei's mayor, Chang Wan-an, said the award shows global recognition of the city's efforts to welcome Muslim travelers. It has also ranked 4th globally among countries that are not members of the 57-nation Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or OIC, and the Global Muslim Travel Index. The city has helped nearly 100 businesses become Muslim-friendly certified over the last 6 years. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.